All right, everybody, I am back with a brand new movie review. I just got back from seeing Captain America Brave New World, which is a crazy number of movies into the MCU storyline. And people were really hoping that this movie was going to breathe new life into the Marvel name. Does it hold up? Or are all the rumors about reshoots, the movie being choppy, and the movie and the story being slow actually true? Well, I'm going to tell you guys in today's review. And I'm going to be as vague as I can be about the storyline, but here's what I will tell you before I get into this. This is more of a straight-up sequel to 2008's The Incredible Hulk than it is anything else in the MCU. So, if you really want to watch something that's going to help enhance this film before you go to the movies, go watch The Incredible Hulk first. Now, one thing I didn't know is that Harrison Ford was taking over for the late William Hurt, who played, Colonel Ross in many of the Marvel films. I know he had passed away several years ago, but I had no idea Harrison Ford was coming in to take over. All I knew, based on the trailers, is that Harrison Ford was playing the president in the film. Now, I'm not going to give any really massive story points away. I'm going to keep this spoiler-free. So I went into this movie not expecting much. I have read so much negative crap about this film. I was going in expecting this to be a pile of dog crap. But it ended up being the exact opposite, okay? It did have some problems, though, and I'm going to talk about these issues. I'm going to talk about my final score at the end and why I give it that score versus what it could have received. So first of all, let's talk about what's really awesome about this movie. The performances by both Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson and also Harrison Ford as President Ross, these guys brought it. I mean, they brought it. Especially Harrison Ford. I think he is the big standout in the film. I thought he was going to have a somewhat small role. It's a major role. And wow, it's one of his best acting performances. That's all I'm going to say. One of his best acting performances. He really brought it for this. Surprising that it happened in a Marvel film, but hey, I'll take it. The other thing I loved about this movie is it had a more serious tone, kind of like Winter Soldier, okay? The tone was there. And it did have a few jokes in there, but the funny thing is those few jokes that they had were really, truly funny, and they landed, and they were appropriate, and you could see those things happening in real life. So I appreciated the jokes. I thought they were really well done. This is definitely not a comedy fest. It is the most serious Marvel film I've seen in a very, very, very long time. Probably since Winter Soldier. Also, there is a crazy amount of action. There are a couple of really amazing action sequences in this movie, and I think people will appreciate that. Now let's talk about the negatives. This movie looked like a made-for-TV movie. It didn't have a feature film quality to it. The performances were feature film performances, but the quality of the film was not. It looked like it was done on a budget, and which is crazy because the action was amazing, but it needed to be done by a different director. And I'm looking at the director of this film. His name is Julius Ona. I'm not even familiar with other stuff that he's done, and I'm not really going to look at what he's done since, at this point. But I got to tell you, it definitely wasn't like the Russo brothers, and it didn't have a big budget feel to it. In fact, I think a lot of that had to do with the sound. Like, there were some hits and some things that happened in the film that really needed that feature film premium sound, and it was just missing. It just didn't seem like it was where it was supposed to be. So the movie is not perfect. And there were a few characters in here that were kind of thrown in there that really should have been fleshed out a little bit more and were almost unnecessary to move the plot really forward a lot. Also, the story was really well paced. Like, I was never bored. I never once looked at my watch. It actually had a story to it. And the post-credit scene at the very, very end of the credits is actually pretty important. I think it is setting up stuff for the future, and it's actually pretty important to the movie. In fact, I'm surprised that they put it as a post-credit scene and didn't actually have it in the film. I think that was a mistake. But the last issue that I had with it, and then I'll give you my final score here, is the CGI looked like something from 25 years ago. It did not look visceral. It didn't look hardcore. It was very on the surface. A lot of the CGI was like blurry when they were doing it and moving, to where it really looked like a TV show. This did not look like a massive high-end feature film. And so let's talk about, taking out the negatives, I would have given this 4 out of 5 stars. Story's great. The action's great. The story, everything was good. The acting, the story, the action, all of it was good. But I'm going to knock it down a half a star to 3.5 because the sound didn't match right. The score was also very generic. And the CGI just really dropped it down. Like, it really drug it down to a level, it looked like a TV show. And this should have been, if they could have given it the look like Winter Soldier, oh my gosh. This could have been something incredible. But they did not do that, unfortunately. And so, at the end of the day, I have to give it 3.5 stars. But my wife really enjoyed this. She said, outside of a couple of the other Marvel films that she really liked, this is one of her favorites because of the story and how engaging it was. It actually had a really decent story to it. So I don't know what people are saying when they say it feels like it was chopped up or there were a bunch of reshoots. The only sequence that I might say that with is one of the opening sequences. But, even in that opening sequence, you can tell how cheap the film is going to kind of look compared to what you would expect it to look, considering the serious nature of the storyline. But hey, at the end of the day, I was entertained from the time it started till the time it ended. Thoroughly enjoyed it. All right, guys, so there you go. There's my review on Captain America: New World Order. If you guys have seen it, please sound off below and let me know what you guys thought. We'll see you on the next video.